yourself to blame. You've got the blues. I'm no longer part of your game. You were jealous and obsessive, controlling and possessive. We were never gonna be together, never forever. You've got the blues. Stay away from me. You've got the blues. Stay away from me. You've got the blues. Stay away from me. You've got the blues.
You've got the blues. Ritchie Dave Porter along with Debra Susan. Ritchie, come on in here. Debra, join us and say hello to the people.
Hi, everybody. This is Ritchie Dave Porter with Debra Susan, and we're saying a big hi from the UK.
Hello.
Hello there. So glad you guys could be here with us. And I remember the last time you were on the show, Ritchie, one of the things that we noticed was you're such an interesting person to talk to, and you've got so much to say that one of the last things I remember saying was, hey, the time has gone by. We could have spent an hour. Well, today we're going to give you the whole hour, so we should be able to cover some wealth of subjects here, not the least of which is your newfound singing partner, and that's a story that's waiting in the wings to tell. But let's first tell us a little bit about what you have been doing during this this COVID situation. I know you haven't been able to get out touring. What have you been doing?
Well, a lot of very cool things have happened during the epidemic or pandemic. Well, basically, me and Debra got together, and I invited Debra around for coffee after watching a lot of her videos of her singing, and she was also singing opera, which impressed me.
Oh,
and Debra came around for coffee, and I'd written the riffs and the chord structures for One Hell of a Ride. So basically, I had a new Telecaster. I fell in love with Telecaster guitars.
Oh, yeah.
And I played the riff on the Telecaster through a Marshall amplifier with no effects and the whole song, and then said to Debra, see what you can do to this. And then I was very, very impressed because Debra immediately came up with the melody, the lyrics straight away. I thought, wow, this is something else. I mean, I could have auditioned 100, 200 different singers and not found that sort of magical chemistry.
Absolutely.
And because we had that, you know, and the chemistry was there. And also, something that's fantastic is that I can concentrate on just writing and playing the Telecaster and handing over vocals and melodies and all that to Debra, who sings far better than I ever could, so I can concentrate on just being a guitar hero.
Which is probably just as well, because I can't play the guitar.
Hey,
So
it sounds like
well between us.
it sounds like a perfect partnership. It also sounds like, you know what? I think I can take my notes and throw them away because you just answered my next two questions, which was
bless you.
encompassing. I was going to ask you about Debra Susan and tell us how you met and everything, but you already did that. So now we got to figure out something else to fill the time.
Just let everything out of the bag.
That's right. I mean, so we had this first, we had the first rehearsal when we first met, and we literally spent most of the afternoon writing and going over and over again, One Hell of a Ride. And then obviously I got in touch with Michael Tingle, my producer, and we recorded One Hell of a Ride, and Michael played the drums. And as you know, Michael produced and engineered the first 5 albums. And then he's been producing the Ritchie Dave Porter with Debra Susan singles. So it's fantastic to work with Debra, and obviously I'm in a relationship with Debra.
Right.
And so we're a musical
whole thing,
partnership.
isn't it, really? I mean, as I say, we're sort of very lucky just to have the whole thing, really, music and to be involved with each other on a personal level. It's
Absolutely.
perfect, really, isn't it?
You guys
Yeah.
really, you can sense how well you work together just by the way, the expressiveness and the way that you blend the music and blend the guitar playing and the voice into the song. It's you can tell there's no real effort as far as working together. The effort is only in producing the finished product. And I'm going to take a second here.
Yeah.
Debra Susan, I want to ask you, since this, kind of evolved rather quickly with the coffee and then, going into the studio and seeing the basics of this song. Tell me, what did you think of this guy at that point?
Oh, well, I thought he was absolutely wonderful. I mean, we'd been friends on Facebook for quite some time, I think for about 5 or 6 years, because obviously I'd been involved with music as well and I'd watched what he'd done. But I must admit, I didn't think for 1 minute when we agreed to meet up, I didn't imagine for 1 minute that it would have taken me to the places it's now taken me to. And to be honest, it's been such a roller coaster over the last 3 to 4 months, hasn't it? Writing music and getting together and getting things produced, and to have sort of singles out on the radio. We've had 3 singles. I mean, for me, it's absolutely fantastic. And I wouldn't swap it for the world. He's great to work with. He's a marvellous guitarist, and we have such a lot of fun, don't we, in sort of writing and recording stuff. So for me, it's been an absolute roller coaster, but something I wouldn't change for the world. It's absolutely brilliant, and we just want to make more music, don't we, and write more songs and just carry on doing it.
Yeah.
Well,
definitely.
I sure as heck hope you do. I sure as heck hope you do, because the stuff you're doing so far is just knock your socks off good. John Bon Jovi, come on in here. I know you want to get into the conversation. Jump in.
Well, sure. Ritchie, Debra, first of all, welcome to the show. We are so glad that you're here and to, feature your music, which, from what I've heard so far is just so excellent. This is the first time I've heard You've Got the Blues. A couple of weeks ago when we did feature One Hell of a Ride, that's when I got to hear that for the first time, and I've since listened to it a couple of times, and I really do like what you've put together here. But my question, I guess, is, I don't know if it's a generic go-to question that you ask all rockers or if it's more unique, but this is actually for both of you. Musically, obviously, the two of you have made a connection with each other, and you are able to bounce ideas off of each other and produce something that is tangible and good. But if you throw love into the whole aspect of this, how has this, other than the physical electricity between the two of you, how has this affected your music writing and creativity?
Well, Debra's probably the best to answer that, because when I write the riffs and the chords, I don't have any lyrics or words in my head. I mean, I literally pick up the guitar and Debra watches me rehearse on the Telecaster through the Marshall, and I'm just coming out with really hard rock blues riffs and chord structures, and then I literally turn around and say, well, what do you think you can put to this?
Yes, I mean, the only thing I think I can say on that is it's definitely enhanced the whole thing, because right from day one, even when we were doing a little jam in here, we sort of had that immediate chemistry, and I think if we weren't personally connected in that way, I don't think we'd have the same level of chemistry. So to me, it's definitely enhanced it. It gives me, it's given inspiration to write lyrics because of things that have happened in my life, or it's given me ideas. But very often when Ritchie plays something, like we've recently written one called Another Shot of Whiskey, and the riff was done in such a way that I could imagine that, like being in a bar where it was a glass after whiskey, without wanting to sound like an alcoholic, but it sort of conjured up those images. So very often what he plays, I then write the lyrics on the basis of what I hear. That makes sense. But I would definitely say that our personal relationship has definitely enhanced the songwriting.
Yeah.
It's made us, because of the chemistry.
I think it's made it really exciting. I mean, when you listen to tunes like One Hell of Blues and the new single Sweet Treacle, they're just like really dirty, hard rock riffs, and the lyrics and the melodies, I think, that Debra has done are just fantastic. I mean, Debra has full say and full control over melodies and lyrics, and I have full say and control over riffs and chord structures and solos.
So it sort of works between us, doesn't it?
Which works fine, yeah. So we co-write everything.
It does.
Well, the reason why, the reason why I asked the question, and this it reminded me of a couple in music that. Probably 180 degrees of rock and roll. And while I hope and pray, and I truly mean that the end result of your collaboration does not end the way theirs did, I'm thinking about George Jones and Tammy Wynette. And while their relationship was, ended in disaster, and I really, from the bottom of my heart, I truly, truly hope that this never, ever happens to you guys. But when they were together collaborating, their influence on each other was so dramatic, and the end product was so superb. It was magic, as David just said. Yes.
Yeah. It's that special energy and chemistry.
Oh yeah, and that's that's what I detect that in, at least from what I just heard of You've Got the Blues, and then of course One Hell of a Ride from a couple of weeks ago. You can tell that there is that there is a good magical collaboration there.
Yeah. Now that's what I was referring to. You can hear it, you can sense it. The fact that you're not just two musicians doing a duet, you are two people who are together.
Yes. Well, it's got that raw energy and passion, haven't it? Which I think it's because we're sort of connected.
Absolutely. And Ritchie, you referred to it, the fact that you're just doing plain, raw, dirty rock blues. And that, well, I have a quick aside, and then I want to ask Debra Susan, but I have to admit to you that when I it's kind of a funny, when I introduced the song One Hell of a Ride a couple of weeks ago when we previewed it on the show, I neglected one thing at the beginning. I neglected to mention to the audience, or even to John Bon Jovial, that you had paired up with Debra Susan, and I introduced it as One Hell of a Ride by Ritchie Dave Porter. And then you go into it, and all of a sudden you hear this female voice, and that's when it struck me. You dummy, you should have prefaced this and warned the people. So it was a case of now. How do you like how his voice has changed? But when you talk about,
he went to Denver, it was obviously successful.
Must have been the Bee Gees influence.
The Bee Gees, absolutely.
But Debra, I wanted to ask you now. Ritchie mentioned the fact that you are classically opera trained. What I would like to know is, how did you find yourself going from the classic opera to the hard rock blues?
Yes, I know. Well, it's certainly entirely different, isn't it? I have to say. I mean, I'd had a vocal coach from about 2011. She's an ex-professional opera singer, marvelous lady, and I trained under her for about 10 years. So the background was opera training and musical theatre training, and I was also in a choir, believe it or not, a number of years back. So obviously that's completely different to this. After that,